Hey everyone, it's Michael and
Matt
and
Ruben
from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au, bringing you all the excitement, the gossip, everything out of a really, really quiet week economically worldwide.
Nothing's happened.
Okay.
Nothing happening
Be
at
the
all.
world's most boring stream. This one.
Yeah. Kick us off with a bang, mate.
Yeah,
the world's most
get excited.
Oh,
See,
good.
this is the problem with like an actually insane week is that it takes its toll on us, and so in the insane, exciting, all this stuff going on weeks, we rock up on on a Friday going, and it's on the weeks where nothing's happened, where we've got a whole bunch of energy and where
Yeah.
so you can tell if it's lack of excitement from us means insanity.
We had a meeting about 2 hours ago or something about the live stream and how we're going to structure it, like what are we going to do, all that sort of stuff. Because not all of it is ad lib. There is quite a bit of ad lib in there, but not all of it is. And so we all went away saying, right, we'll do this and I'll do that.
It's more about a couple of dot points saying, talk about gold and silver.
Yeah. Don't forget gold and silver.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've stopped running since. So it's did we organise anything? Like I know we organised it, but did we actually organise
Well,
it?
again, I've got the dot points sitting in front of me saying, talk about gold and silver. But yeah,
Oh dear, what a laugh, hey? So what's been happening? What's our number one point, Rubes?
Number one point is to discuss a special. And
Did you get the special organised, mate?
I caught wind of a conversation about a special, and I thought you were going to get it going.
we're going to have to let down off the get-go. We did not get one organised in time. However,
we could have.
However,
The framework's there.
we know of one that we want to run with. So do you want to tell people at least what medal it is so they can prepare potentially for next week when we're going to run it?
Well, it's either gold, silver, platinum.
Oh,
or
thanks.
palladium.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
It's not
No.
from Australia.
It's not.
I'll let that much out of the
There
bag.
you go.
But it is a government issued coin.
So we did try, but we haven't got organised one for this week. However, next week I am committing us to one. So
Yeah,
we've got one lined up.
and it'll be a few $100. What do we reckon? About 300.
No more than that. Remember? Because I just...
Particularly
we're
with
gonna
gold
do a
going where it
giveaway.
is. You can't.
I happened to just take a stab in the dark at the weight of it. And I was...
Very confidently. He
Yeah.
said, "Oh, boys, it's this." Then we looked it up and he went, "Oh, not quite."
So
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out next week.
Yeah,
Friday,
somewhere
look
between
out.
that $400-500 mark.
Odd
somewhere in
Job
there.
wants to know what Mint's coin you're going to be beating up on today, Matt. Seeing as
Wow,
do you want to
funny
make
you
that
should
a
ask.
recurring segment?
There is a coin that we pulled out purely because it's a little emotive at the moment. There is a coin that we're banned from talking about today.
At least you're banned from talking.
So
about
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out. The day is young.
It absolutely is. So what was number 2 on our list, mate?
Number-
Actually, we should find. How you doing, man? I
Yeah,
want
pretty
to. This is a slightly loaded question.
Tag's itchy. Little discombobulated. No, pretty good.
Having a
Overall,
wardrobe
yeah,
malfunction,
all
are we?
things considered,
Hello,
you know.
Janet Jackson.
Yeah, it's been a big week. It's been eventful. It's been exciting. It's been challenging on a number of fronts, but still here, still smiling.
fronts that we'll probably get into it a little bit later.
Yeah, but I actually want to know about the personal front. Have you had any more sleep than last week?
No,
For those that don't know, Matt is a fairly newly minted father.
I am indeed.
Newly minted.
Yeah, it's full on. Like it's great. It's the best. I'm very, very happy, but the lack of sleep is incredible.
Have you strung more than say 3 hours in a row yet?
No, it doesn't happen. It's a pipe dream, but it's fascinating. I've never had so many this is a family friendly show, and I guess this is family friendly what I'm going to say, but I've never had so many fluids on me. It's I don't know. It's out of control, but it's never been happier.
I remember the first time my first child slept through the night.
Yeah.
And the next morning, Nate woke up, he was 100%. Katie woke up, she'd slept through the whole night. I'd woken up every 15 minutes to check the kid was still breathing.
Yeah.
I hadn't slept a wink. I was totally shattered.
and then decided to relax, you'd start a bullion company.
That's right. Oh dear. Oh, good fun. Anyway, I thought we should get that update. On
Yeah. Well, you know, you'll see me either progressively decline or whatever the opposite is, get better.
It's not even in the concept that his mind can grasp at the moment of it getting
you
better.
have to bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. From
You
time to
reckon
time, words will escape me.
You don't reckon the energy will kick in and you'll just zip through to the end?
No, I sort of. It's like I feel as though I'm running on fumes. A lot of people are surprised and they say, "Oh, you seem pretty with it," but you don't know how little's rattling around in his head.
With it or with it, yeah.
But when an engine's just about to run out of fuel, it actually increases its RPM. It gets this surge.
Yeah.
So we're expecting this surge out of you, mate.
Well, this is it, I think. It's all downhill from here.
Oh,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Ricky says, haven't been here for a live stream for a while. Wanted to say thank you for getting that Ouroboros to me. It's an absolutely spectacular coin. To quote my wife, wow. With mouth wide
that
open.
was very cool.
And we've just, I was talking to Bailey, who looks after all of our, or I should say, all of the little coin shop stock, and runs a lot of the operation there. She was saying that we had another 30, I think, in stock.
Oh, really? Wow.
Snuck in on the quiet. So if you missed out on the Ouroboros, slip over to Little Coin Shop and type in Ouroboros if you can spell it.
That is the challenge.
And have a look because it is a magnificent coin. They've done a grand job with it.
I wonder how they came up with that concept of the figure eight, the
The infinity snake eating itself type thing.
Oh, as in the planchet, because it's very clever. Because they've done the koi fish, did they do the dragon and phoenix? They've done a number of designs in that format. I think that looks great.
Yeah.
That plus the antiqued finish, ticking a few boxes there.
It's a winner.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out for the next month release that I hinted
know,
at,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I gave Matt a sneak preview,
Next
and he
month,
went,
huh?
I think it's going to be a perler.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm looking forward to that one. You watch. It will sell out in milliseconds.
Yeah, because you'll
'Cause
buy
Michael's
them all.
buying them all,
Not quite.
Yeah, just to prove a point.
He's going to watch the numbers not go down. He's like, it's not moving fast enough. Trying to speed this process up a bit.
Oh, dear. Alrighty, what else have we got, Rubes? Let's draw this thing back on the track.
Yeah, talk about bullion a bit.
The next thing we had to talk about was you tasked me with throwing together a bit of a segment that we want to try and move forward with.
Oh, that's right.
And we've kind of done it a little bit in the past as kind of a little bit of a show and tell kind of segment, where we had a lot of people send in to our email address, photos of their stack or particular coins in their stack, things like that. But there's also been quite a few requests to highlight some of the things in your stack or Matt's or mine or, generally our stack. So you said, I want an intro for a segment called Our Stack. And you said this very, very soon before the stream was about to actually happen. And so what I've thrown together is not something to be admired yet, but we will hopefully improve this as a segment. But yeah, let's run this, and then we'll come back and have a look at what you've brought us in from for show and tell, Michael.
Welcome to Our Stack.
Come on, mate. I'm not on that.
How was that, Michael? Was that going to work for you?
Wow.
I forgot to mute your mic while you did that, so I'm not sure if it even worked because you were talking over it the entire time.
Was there any music with it?
No, just a very dramatic voiceover. Which you will have to go back and watch because you don't have the audio for it.
That's right.
But what have you brought us in today?
Well, I actually brought in a bit of a selection, which turned into being one thing because Matt goes, well, no, that's 5 different segments.
Well, exactly.
There's
Each
enough to
thing-
expand
each
on,
thing
yeah.
has a story to tell.
Yeah. So it does say today, have you got a picture of it, Rich?
I do. I can throw it up whenever you'd like.
Very good.
So this is one out of my stack. I'm a big half-ounce silver fan in my collecting. And so this is one that I grabbed for a couple of reasons. So it's Year of the Rabbit, which is obviously this year. But this is out of the Series 1. So it's the half-ounce silver rabbit from Series 1. And you can see there, Matt, do you want to pick up on that P100?
Yeah, sure. So
yarn
there's a
about that?
little preview mark on there that says P100. It's just to the right-hand side of the lower part of the rabbit design there. And that was actually done by the Perth Mint to celebrate the centenary of the Perth Mint, which was founded in 1899. So you'll see on a lot of the 1999 minted coins from Perth, the little P100. So, yeah, just a nice little tidbit. Love a fun fact.
There is.
There you have it.
I like the I actually like Series 1. It's actually my favourite series out of all of them because the designs are simpler. It only has the one animal on the design.
Yeah.
They haven't gone on the silver like this year. They've done the two animals.
Yep.
A sort of mother and baby type situation, but it also has that very matte background.
Yeah,
And
it's very nice.
Yeah, it really makes it pop. So I really like that one. The other thing I wanted to highlight there, I don't know if you want to pop it back up, Rubes. The other thing I wanted to highlight was the capsule on it. So this is the old school capsule. So nowadays we get the round capsule that hugs the coin itself. Back in the day, back in the old
Way
days,
back when.
Yeah, back when the world was black and
1999.
we used to. That's right. There was no colour out there at all. They used to come in these rectangular plastic capsules that actually they were all stuck together, and you used to snap them off like a Kit Kat type of thing. So this would have come in a sheet of...
That might actually show better in your hand if you want to show the kind of... I mean, obviously it's in a plastic thing.
It's
but
still in its plastic, but you can see there. And they used to come in a sheet of... I want to say a sheet of 20, but I actually can't remember what the sheet size was. I reckon they present better. However, and it's really hard. And I was going to... Could you just flip that photo up again, Rubes? The reason they moved away from these capsules, I'm just waiting for it to come up. Yeah, you really can't see it, but around the rim, these things tone quite heavily because they're not airtight like the new ones are. So you'll see some of the Series 1 coins have quite a lot of toning on it. Some of it is incredibly ugly, but some of them gives it some beautiful colorations across these coins. So
you can see the darker... the darker colour around the outside there. You can still make it out. It's not quite as dramatic as I've seen some of them. But
yeah, I like some of those dark purples that you get on, like particularly on the old Cooks.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. I also like, now that we're looking at it, and it might be, the longer you look at it, the better it gets. But I like the formatting of the vertical date or the vertical year. I think that looks really good.
Yeah. So there you go. Something in my collection. It's probably not worth a heck of a lot. I mean, it's only half an ounce of silver, Series 1. But yeah, it's got a bit of a story behind it. I collect half-ounce silver coins from the Perth Mint, and I've got multiple copies of pretty much every single one of them. But particularly the old school ones, I really like them. Yeah. So there you go.
Good stuff. Yeah, it could be a cool little segment. So that's it. If you have anything that you'd like to highlight, feel free to send it through to our email, which I'll whack up on the screen there. Or we'll continue to bring some interesting stuff in from our stack. Like Michael said before, he actually brought in a couple that we can show off. But yeah.
Interestingly enough, just dragging it back for a second, it's 3 9s silver. It's not 4 9 silver stamped.
Jeez.
So
Odd Job's comment there.
Yeah. Oh, you picked up on it as well, didn't you?
Yeah. The rest is lettuce.
So what is the other 0.1% made up of, and are we stressed about it?
Well, have to do a video on it.
Very appropriately, as Odd Job says there, lettuce. That was a comment that I made on a stream a little while ago, that I didn't care what the other 0.01% was. It could be lettuce. In this case, being the rabbit, it would be very appropriate.
Yeah.
Zeb Kai says, "Hi guys, my first visit today from Tassie."
Hey,
also says, "Thanks for letting me hold the 1 kilo gold bar."
Hey.
I heard you ask that one, and Con managed to grab one out the back for you, and it's always a cool experience when we got one of those on hand to have a hold of.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed you, mate. I like catching up with people as they come through the store and find out where they're all from, and why they're over
Particularly
here.
from the great state of Tasmania.
Oh yeah, Centre Metropolis. So it's welcome and glad you had a good time, and they had a kilo bar for you. What else have we got in the chat, mate? I'm kind of I haven't got my eyes on, so I'm struggling to get to that age.
There's a couple of other questions there. A couple of people wanting to know if you're planning on selling your 1999 half-ounce rabbit.
I was not planning on selling my half-ounce rabbit.
I was going to say, I think we need to probably put that up as a disclaimer for anything we're bringing in. There's a reason it's still in our stacks.
Yes, I've managed to keep it long enough and away from Brett that he hasn't gone, shh, Just don't tell Michael.
Yeah,
but
promised it to someone. Yeah.
I just snatched this out of his stack. Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, that's it. Ricky again was asking if there was somewhere in SA they could go to see the minting process. Is there somewhere in South Australia that kind of has tours for?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't think they shut down the old Adelaide assay office quite some time ago.
Yeah. Before you were born.
Yeah, possibly even before you were born.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe they've got like museums and things like that relating to the gold rush period, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Dark Hearts, you are more than welcome. We allowed him to keep his stack in storage because he busted a knee.
Jeez, that's brutal.
So, yeah, he's coming in next week by the sounds of it, which will be great to see.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, Stephen Willis, he's saying there was a time during the pandemic when lettuce seemed more expensive than silver. Funnily enough, I made a similar comment just before I came on stream because my salad bowl that we'd got from an establishment around here seemed to be missing a heck of a lot of lettuce.
Oh, no. Terrible.
So, yeah, all good. What else have we got, Rubes?
The next question you had there was written, what happens without too much bullion?
Sorry?
That's
the question again.
I don't know, I'm reading your writing here.
My hieroglyphics. So yeah, we had, this was an email question, I think, or was it a comment?
Yes, so this was an email one, and the question was basically, no, let me not say basically, let me actually pull up the email so I'm not getting the question wrong or the words wrong. Bear with me for 2 seconds. All right.
Background music.
Yeah. It says, you say that you try to remain even with your buying and selling of bullion, but what do you do when you suddenly find yourself having too much after a large buyback, say after buying a number of 1,000-ounce silver bars? How do we deal with that?
I got to admit it's stressful. It put us, we were fairly neutral when that delivery turned up or that person turned up and said, hey, here you go, I want to sell this in. And to be all of a sudden 80,000 ounces long does give you a little bit of heartburn.
Yeah.
So we had to place it fairly quickly, or at least place the risk fairly quickly. So we stopped ordering from a lot of other places. You know, we only placed orders we needed to place for obviously the shop. We need certain items in. We'll still place those orders, but we put a hold on, let's just buy some extra kilos just because we can type of situation. We also had to talk to some of the refineries and said, hey, look, we've got this 80,000 ounces. Are you interested in any of it? And can we lock a spot price on it if you are? And that's, in some ways, that's my preferred method. Well, it's probably my second preferred. The first method is obviously if we can sell it straight out over the shop. That obviously makes life easy. But if we can't do that, going back to a refinery and saying, hey, look, we've got this long position. We need to shorten it. Are you interested in buying X number of ounces from us, or X number of kilos in this case, from us at today's spot price? Usually we'll lock it in. And that way, with the refinery, we can always turn around an hour later, a day later, a week later and say, that long position that we've got with you, or the shortening position that we've got with you, we actually want to reverse that because, somebody's walked in and said, look, I want 80,000 ounces of silver. So all of a sudden we're now in a short position. We can always reverse it out with particularly the refineries, because they can say, well, look, we haven't used that metal yet. They may not have even picked it up from us. So we'll just reverse the transaction at the new spot price. So then it will be a plus or a minus for one side or the other. But neither of us really cares because we're usually trying to get back down to that hedge position, that zero hedge position. So, they'll offset it and they'll, if it puts them in a long position or a short position, they'll go and try and offset it with someone else, the same as I'm trying to offset it with them. So it's this constant dance around between the industry members. That's why it always makes me smile when people say, oh, but, you mustn't talk to your competition, those types of situations. Do you get on with them? Well, we do, because we need to have these business relationships with both other bullion dealers, all of our customers. I'm not saying individuals, but particularly some of the larger customers that we have that buy certain things, because we know that when some things come in, we can place them straight back out again. For example, if I got in, and this is an imaginary example, but if somebody waltzed in with 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 sovereigns, I know I could place those within about 10 minutes. So we would never be in that long position. So it's maintaining that relationship, but it's also maintaining that good relationship with your wholesalers and your refineries, so that you can go to them and say, look, how many of these 80,000 ounces do you want, so I can shorten my position relatively rapidly at the current spot price. That was probably a long answer to a short question, wasn't it?
I think that answers it. That was from Stephen, by the way. I didn't mention a name alongside at the start because I wasn't sure if they're okay, but they've given me the go-ahead in chat. So,
yeah, okay.
Crypto Monkey says, "Hey guys, could you please provide a progress update regarding PayPal? Have we got anything?"
Do you want to take that one?
No, I would, but what? What do you mean?
I am hoping to have an answer on PayPal next week.
Are we not currently doing PayPal?
Are you for real? You have not been in all the massive arguments that have been going on in the back room?
Oh,
apparently he's missed all those.
You want to go back to how much sleep I've been getting lately?
Fair enough.
So it's coming back on, or what's the setup? I don't know.
The argument is continuing. There are some fairly strong opinions within the Bullion Now family as to whether we should have it back online or not.
Oh, really?
There is some support for it. There is some resistance to it. I got to say, as a bullion dealer, PayPal is one of the many banes of my life, my existence. I would quite happily walk away from PayPal and never deal with them again.
Really?
However, you still need to provide what the customers want.
Yeah.
And there is certainly a component of our community that does want, if not PayPal, at least something PayPal-ish.
I wonder if there's any kind of like digital currencies that you could accept that would facilitate trade.
You're seriously trying to complicate this even more.
Let me bring it back to a completely separate comment from someone there. I wanted to say thank you. I recently bought my first precious metal order and requested a white glove, and Bullion Now came through. So,
look out!
Does that make it an official Bullion Now white glove? I don't know.
Get a Sharpie, write BN on it.
Did we only give you the one, or did we give you two?
Yeah, that's it. Only one at a time. Come on.
You only
they asked for one. Yeah.
In actual fact, I find two to be, and Matt's talked about this a number of times, but I actually find two to be a pain. I far prefer one, so you've got the dexterity if you need it. Because it's nothing worse than...
You need one to hold the coin and one to get into the tube or the capsule or, whatever it is, or the box.
Whatever you're doing, because you'll guarantee if you've got two, you're trying to protect the coin and you will drop it. Almost without fail. So, yeah, it's...
I think we need to move on to what a lot of people are going to be asking about and thinking about, and that is kind of actually let's start somewhere else first, and let's talk about kind of how the store's been, how the phones have been, things like that over the last little bit.
Didn't you make us a whoosh?
No, that you only got one intro out of me. You got the our story.
How much do I pay you a day?
Yeah, that was all I did today. Just that one thing.
I got out of here.
That horrible green screen. Yeah, no, that's all you got. That voice, you haven't heard the voiceover yet, Michael. That's where all the effort
where
went.
all the money is.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, what's been going on in the shop? What's been going on? And then I think we need to branch out into the big news story that I would say this week has been, and that being the price of gold and what's happening with the banks.
Matt, you've been on the phones most of this week, haven't you?
I have indeed. It's been.
So, what's the goss on the phones?
It's been well, I don't need to tell you. It's been busier than ever. It's been relentless. Like in the sense that, generally speaking, between Andrew and I, there's a reasonable gap between calls. Like you have a chat, sort something out, and then you get onto the emails, and it's a bit of a balanced approach. But I think we acknowledged this morning and even yesterday that it's just been impossible to even get through to emails because the phone just has not stopped. Like every single time you'd hang up the phone, it'd start ringing again. And it was just a really broad variety of customers coming through, which has been very interesting to note. A lot of new people, like I'm talking brand new, that have just either seen a YouTube video or been referred by a friend or family member. And it's been, really interesting to hear people's opinions that I guess you could say, in a sense, it's almost unfiltered, in the sense that they're not part of the, I guess, the bullion community in leading into their first transaction. So they're coming at it.
They're not just new Bullion Now customers. They're new to the bullion industry.
New to bullion in general. So it's purely a matter of them wanting to get involved in this industry. They've done their own research, which a lot of people have done, which is very reassuring, because
it's good.
It's always something that I stress whenever dealing with someone for the first time, that they need to have formed their own opinions on these things, because obviously, you know, you go into a Tesla dealership and ask if electric cars are any good. They're probably going to say, yeah, not bad.
Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't touch them. Go back to the old combustion engine.
But and on top of that, there's been a lot of larger purchases in both gold and silver. It hasn't been skewed one way or the other, which has been interesting because, and we'll get into it shortly, the gold being where it's at, I would have thought would be over the phone getting a lot more of that coming through, but it's been just as brisk on the silver front. So surprisingly, I haven't done a whole lot. Haven't had a whole lot of platinum inquiries, but maybe you need to do a special or something.
Well, I think the reason you haven't seen a lot of platinum inquiries is because platinum is very much an industrial bar, and I think everyone's a bit nervous about what's going to happen in the economy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're all. I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen, even tomorrow. Like we're seeing, breaking news every day or we're waking up to breaking news every day of, my goodness, what's going on over there type of situation. So being, you cannot, at least with silver, you can argue that at least 30% of silver is investment grade, not industrial grade. So there is an investment component there. With platinum, it's pretty much 99.99% industrial, and no one really cares what the 0.01% of that is. But yeah, it's really just purely industrial. So while people are very nervous about the world economy, I have to admit I'm a big platinum fan, and I'm still a big platinum fan. But I have personally backed off buying platinum at the moment, just to try and get the lay of the land of what's the world going to do in the next 24 hours. But realistically, the next 6 months, the next 12 months, are we going to turn the corner into a major recession?
Yep.
Or are we going to, be bailed out of this and go on stronger for longer?
Yep. Well, yeah, so it's been fascinating. It's been it feels like this past week on the phones, it feels like a year's worth of events and excitement has come through in terms of brand new people that have been around for quite some time. Both buying and selling has been full on in both sense. So it's been, relentless. But I guess, I always say you'd complain if it was too quiet. So
absolutely.
You never take it for granted, I suppose, in that sense.
How's turnover been, Michael?
Unbelievable. I think I'm quite happy to come back to this question, but I'd actually like to. I think one feeds into another. We've obviously pretty much all of us would have been watching what's happening over in the Northern Hemisphere. So we've seen, I think it's 4 now. There's 3 bank collapses happened in the US, and there's the 4th one that's teetering. And the 2 of those 3 collapses have been the 2nd and 3rd largest bank collapse in history. So we're not talking chump change. I know, particularly as Australians, who's heard of the Silicon Valley Bank before? You'd be lucky if 1% of Australia's even heard, like even 0.5% of Australia's even heard of who that bank is. I hadn't, and I consider myself fairly au fait with banking and the economic system around the world. But to have those completely collapse out of the system and the mad scramble that caused, and the reason they've collapsed, there's a couple of reasons there, and I'd actually like to do a YouTube. Rubes and I have been talking about it for a week now, do a YouTube on why, but it's a combination of the increase in interest rates affecting the asset backing of them, because the only way the only way you can invest in like when you buy a bond, it's based on the interest return on that bond. So if the interest return goes up, they raise interest rates, which is what the central banks have been doing around the world. The only way that bond can react, because it's got a fixed interest, the only way it can react is to reduce in its value to drive up the return on it. So it becomes cheaper. So then if you've got customers, let's say you've got a $100 million backing and it's in a bond, you've got customers coming in every day withdrawing funds, you have to keep a certain amount of liquidity. You have to sell that $100 million bond that's been set at 1.5%, but now the standard going rate is 4.5%. That $100 million bond that you had, it might now only be worth $75 million. So all of a sudden, you've had to realise this $25 million loss, but it's still backing as many deposits as it was before. So now you've got to sell other assets within the bank, and that's how they went down the tubes, is because the deposits or the people doing the withdrawals were withdrawing more and more and more, so they were having to sell more and more of these bonds at greater and greater losses, and eventually they potentially ran out. They didn't actually run out, but they would have run out of assets backing them before they ran out of people withdrawing their funds. So they had to close the doors. The Federal Reserve had to, it's not called that, it's called the FDIC, had to step in and guarantee it and back them. Interesting to note that they guaranteed all deposits because they were so worried about the system falling over entirely. We've now got a new situation occurring in the States, which is interesting, which only really developed last night, which is people are really starting to panic over there about their deposits with the smaller banks. So they're actually pulling their money out of the smaller bank and going over to the larger bank and depositing it there, going, little beauty, she's safe. The larger bank is now concerned about the smaller bank collapsing, so they're actually taking the funds that these people have been depositing with them, and they've been depositing them back into the smaller bank. And everyone thinks this is a wonderful idea without anyone actually realising there's an issue here, that this bank is collapsing and you're just throwing potentially good money after bad. So this is a real concern. And then you throw Credit Suisse on top of that with, interestingly enough, the Swiss government not actually throwing money at it, just saying, yeah, sure, we'll... If called upon, we will back it. Yeah, come on. I've seen that happen before and it turned nasty. It's interesting to see that that's occurring overseas, but it's even more fascinating to watch it occur in Australia. And you can't take away from this that I think that we think that the Australian banking system is about to collapse. That is not what I'm about to say. But Matt and I were talking about this earlier on, about the impact that it's having in Australia. And I was saying that this week that we've just had has been one of our busiest weeks for a very long time. Yesterday was our busiest day on record. We turned over the most money that we've ever turned over yesterday. Yesterday's turnover was the equivalent of the cumulative turnover of the previous 2 weeks. So that gives you some idea of the quiet attitude out there in the Australian community of people saying, actually, I want to take control of my hard-earned cash. I don't want to leave it in the banking system. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put it into a physical asset that I control. Now, if that continues, that's going to cause an issue. And I was relating that to Matt, and Matt said something else to me about it, about the experience you had. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to go and visit a physical bank branch, it's always an exciting, turn of events when you get to go down to the bank in person. And I went there with my wife just the other day, and I didn't think it was something that would have been a big deal, but there was a queue snaking out the door and in the shopping centre down through the walkway. And we went and we stood in line and we got to the front, and the guy at the front said, "Oh, you need to give us your contact details. We'll send you a text in about an hour when we're ready to see you." And I thought, but it's a Wednesday morning in a shopping centre. Like, this isn't. I haven't come at 4:30 on a Friday about to Yeah. This doesn't seem like an particularly odd time. And each time subsequently, that I've been at the shops or in general, just passing a bank, like even down here on Collins Street,
Yep.
when I go to get lunch, there's the queues out. It's physically out the door. It's starting. It's quite a sight.
So there's a comment there I want to highlight because it's becoming very true. Bank opening hours 12 p.m. to 12:05 p.m. Because
pretty much with reduced staff, reduced lighting. It's a really, really bizarre sight, and
and so many having been shut regionally as well, as a couple of people have pointed out in chat as well. There's actually fewer
and in the CBD.
Yeah, there's actually fewer physical branches to even go to as well.
But the fact that we're seeing more numbers in the banks, the fact that we're seeing, like, to that degree where they're actually queuing out the door and the banks are actually having to have a system. I was saying to Matt, you're really lucky they didn't say to you, just go and sit in the corner and we'll get to you when we get to you. They've actually now got a system to say, give us your number and we'll text you when we're ready for you.
I think also every corner was full. People just said, nah, I'll just sit and wait. And the whole place was chockers. It was unreal.
But you take that anecdote and then you look at, we're not a big company. Like, I know we kind of make out that we're this, we're a world beater, and we think we are. But in the grand scheme of things, we're certainly not the biggest bullion dealer out there. And we're turning those numbers, like serious numbers. I'm not going to specify them. I'm very open about a lot of what we do, but I'm not going to specify numbers for a lot of reasons. But, we're turning serious numbers. This is people taking their cash out of the banking system and putting it into physical assets, as I said before, that they control. Somebody's saying in the chat, and I'm struggling to read it because it's moving fairly fast and I haven't got my glasses on, but, somebody's saying, why are people buying effectively at an all-time high? And gold is at an all-time high. And we often joke about, we know we're going to be busy because gold goes up. It's people buy it when it's going up, not when it's going down. But the number of conversations I've had even today with customers saying, I know it's at all-time high, I don't care. I don't want my money into the banking system where I can potentially lose all of it or have it restricted. I would rather buy gold today, and sure, it comes down 5%, it comes down 10%, and gold very rarely makes those sort of moves. But, it comes down. At least I've got control of it. At least I can decide when I want to spend it. At least I can accept that as an insurance premium effectively to maintain my wealth moving forward. So we are getting to a stage where people are recognising the instability of the financial system around the world and that they want to take control of it and hold it. And I know I have a vested interest in this as a bullion dealer, but I've been saying this for many years, and I'll relate a story that I've related many times. When I was a teenager, we sold the family farm, or my parents sold the family farm. They were moving into retirement, and the Thursday beforehand, the last payment for the farm went into the bank, and unbeknown to my parents, particularly my father, the financial advisor had actually moved those funds into a company called Pyramid Building Society. And so the last payment went in on the Thursday. On the Monday morning, this was all government guaranteed. The government had actually come out and said, we will back this company. It will not fail. We'll guarantee everyone's deposit in there. On the Monday morning, they closed their doors. They never opened it again. It killed my father, and it took over 10 years for my mother to get the payout from the government. And for those that have got grey hair like mine, they might remember the government basically said, we can't afford to pay this out. We're going to put $10 on everyone's airline ticket to raise the funds to actually pay all these depositors back. It took over 10 years for my mother to get her payment out, and she got about 53 cents in the dollar. I've seen that firsthand, like I said, when I was a teenager. I'm not saying that's about to happen to the Australian banking system, but the history's there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw up, as you continue there, just I've got the little chart of gold over the last month, and that's it. You can see the climate's had in some of those. You can actually almost see where certain banks and news stories have broken.
Yeah, you can.
But yeah, hitting over 2,900 in Australian dollars there.
The thing you've also got to remember there, and this one gets, I've got to be careful with this one a little bit, is it is at an all-time high price in AUD, but it is not in USD. So you've got to remember there's a currency play, and we've talked about this many times. You're not only playing the physical precious metal market, you are also playing the foreign exchange market. And at this stage, there is a flight to safety, and for whatever reason, and we can argue politics and all that till we're blue in the face, But on a worldwide basis, we tend to flow to rush to the US dollar when we have that. So the Australian dollar has weakened. I think you're going to see that reverse over time, which will impact, in the shorter term, that will impact the price of gold in Australian dollar terms.
I don't want to head too much down the line of speculation and things, but you kind of briefly touched on Credit Suisse before, and there was a couple of headlines I noticed flash up that were talking about it being too big to fail. And I caught these two next to each other, and I thought it was quite ironic because there's an article there saying it should be too big to fail, and then the follow-up to that is too big to be saved. And I think that's the thing. On one hand, there's the stability of a place like that being big, and therefore it can never go under. But then, as you were saying with Pyramid, is there then the potential that the government, whoever's potentially going to back it, turns around and says, yeah, actually there's too much here to do anything about.
We're going to need a bigger bucket for this bailout.
That's it.
You're 100% right. That's why I kind of hinted at, and I wasn't trying to get to it directly, but we'll go there. Where the government,
we'll go there.
We're here now.
The government has said, we'll back it if it needs the cash. Not here's the cash.
Yeah.
We'll back it. It's the same as I'm trying to think of a comparison, and nothing that's really comes to mind. But there's one thing to say we'll back it. There's another thing to actually in the shop. We'll have people say, I'll get that. I'll come back for it.
Yeah.
It means nothing until they actually come back for it, and they actually put the money on the counter and say, I want it. It's not a sale until that point.
Yep.
And that's effectively what the government's done here is they've said, yeah, sure, we'll back it. But they haven't shown us any money yet. So
yeah, if push comes to shove and a biff breaks out, where are you going to be? Yeah. 1 foot out the door or in the thick of it?
Yeah. So, and I watched the Australian government over Pyramid, and I saw exactly what they meant by it's government guaranteed. And I suspect that's the same all over the world. Now, the US government, rightly or wrongly, the US government have backed the Silicon Valley Bank and all the deposits there. I wonder if it had been JP Morgan, if it had been effectively a Bear Stearns all over again, if the US government would have done the same thing, or if they would have gone, holy dooly, there is no physical way that we can do it with a bank this large. We're going to have to come up with a new solution.
And I can see how in that event, sort of on a smaller scale, it's the same thing as, someone in the store saying, I'll come back for it. There's any number of reasons why they could not come back. They could say, on my phone rang, I had to, go pick up, someone from school, or something happened. I think similarly, if you really didn't want to back them up, I'm sure you could get some, clever people to dig into some fine print and say, actually... Yeah.
When I said that we'd back it, what I actually meant...
You forgot to dot a few I's in this thing, and as a result, it's all void, sorry.
Are you telling me that a politician wouldn't stand by what they'd actually said? I can't believe that you would insinuate that, Matthew.
Knows? Your words, not mine.
Oh dear, it's all good fun until it's not, and
exactly.
then it's really not. There's a question in there, and I know you kind of kicking me a little bit, Kane, and I got no issue with it. Where you're saying, if I buy $1 million in gold off you, then the banks crash. Can I sell gold back to you for cash, or do you only pay into a bank account? Absolutely. Look, we'll pay it in peanuts. Like if that's the going currency at the time.
Bottle caps, ammo.
That's right. I don't know about the ammo. I've got to.
That's a video I actually want to do. A bit of a side tangent there, but that is actually one of the big arguments I see online when it comes to people talking about stacking precious metals. Is they will say, "Why would you do that? It has no practical use. Stack something like that still has a long shelf life that is practical." And
but it's not. Like the thing is,
look, to be honest, that is a lot in American circles, I'll grant. But I think we need to delve into that topic because it is kind of, I would say, not the biggest counter to precious metals, but something that comes up a lot.
But it's the ultimate argument that we have of if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, and like we are talking, zombie on steroids, like right out there. I don't care how much gold you've got. I'm not swapping you for my last sack of potatoes that I need to feed my family. It's not going to happen. You could have 1 million ton of ammunition. I'm not interested because I need these potatoes to feed my family. So it depends on how far out we're going to stretch this. But there's a point where it comes where I can only store potatoes for so long and I can only eat them for so long. Eventually I'm going to want to exchange them for something. If you don't have, like if you've got what I want, but you don't want my potatoes, I need another form of currency to actually be able to exchange with you in some form. And that currency needs to have a value of store, a store of value that that is recognised around. And gold for the last 5,000 years has been that store of value that we all recognise around the world. So it has that history to keep moving forward, whereas very little else does. One of the comments I made a little bit snidely just before is, when things go pear-shaped, we run to the US dollar. It's because since Bretton Woods back at the end of World War II, we've accepted that the US dollar is the gold standard. And so that is a natural instinct to run back to that. Now, I think most people watching this would understand that if they look closely into the US dollar, that it doesn't have the same sort of acceptance and history that that gold does, and it certainly has shown that it doesn't store value, and that's very easy to prove by just getting, comparing what you could buy in 10 years ago with a US dollar compared to what you can buy now. And I'm not picking on the US for this. That's obviously across the whole spectrum, any of the fiat currencies. So that's why you stack gold. It's not so much, you're 100% right. Gold is not going to sit in certain circumstances at the end of the world when I'm not going to let go of my last bag of spuds. But there is going to come a point where we're going to need a medium of exchange, and gold traditionally has filled that medium.
I think that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I keep scratching my nose, but I've got the itchiest nose today, and I don't know why.
Matt's got
It's
an
driving
itchy
me
tag,
insane.
you've got an itchy nose.
Yeah. Something in the air.
Travis says, hey guys, do you ever get any of the New Zealand Mint Newy turtles? They rock. I can't seem to find them anywhere.
Yeah, they're cool. I like that design.
This actually should be one you answer, because you met up with a New Zealand Mint in Germany, didn't you, Rubes? Are they still producing that? I'm assuming we're talking the Bullion one.
Yes, we're talking the Bullion one. I'm going to be honest, a lot of our conversations were geared around the numismatics.
Okay.
So we didn't actually delve too much into...
What's the turtle called? For the life of me, I can't remember.
The turtle?
No, it's not called a turtle.
Flipper.
It's called a taku. That's what it's called.
There you go.
Yeah. So, they didn't mention the taku because I haven't seen them kicking around the wholesale lists or anything like that for many a year. I actually don't know as they still produce them. So, my gold, if you're in the chat, let us know, because you're based out of New Zealand. You would have far more idea than I would.
I was going to say, they helped us last time. We had some questions about the...
That's right.
if they were... Because that was it, if there were coins, rounds, all that kind of jazz. So, no.
Can I drag us back a little bit? Jessa is asking there, do you foresee a risk of gold confiscation? I don't. I don't think it's something... I think from a practical level, it would be very difficult for a government to confiscate. I know there is rumour of the fact that there's been gold confiscation in Australia. There hasn't. And even in the States, while it was illegal, they didn't really go knocking on doors, because they attempted it with some of the farmers, and they turned around and said, we're fairly heavily armed. Fill your boots. Have a go, you mug. So that's obviously the Australian interpretation of what the American farmers were saying, but you get what I mean. So I don't think we would. And look, practically, I think we are far more likely to sit in a situation that we're facing now, where, picture for this, you're in government, you're the grand poobah of the government, and you've got these two options. You can mobilise the police and or army force to... We're going to change the law, so we've now got access to all of the bullion dealers' records, and we're actually going to mobilise this military force or paramilitary force, and we're going to go knock on everyone's door, and we're going to say, you purchased a kilo of gold at Bullion Now 5 years ago, we're here to collect it. And you can guarantee the person at the door is going to say, well, look, there was this terrible boating accident and I've dropped it overboard out in Port Phillip Bay, and I'd love for you to come and help me, find it. Or, I took up precious metal casting into jewelry, and I gave it away to this woman that I loved, and she did a runner on me, and it's disappeared into the ether. Or I cut it up into small chunks, and I gave it away to the grandkids. Or, it's up to them to prove that you've got it, not you to prove that you don't have it, sort of thing. So you're going to face that sort of situation. You're going to have a lot of very, very upset citizens, and they're just going to refuse to do it. And the manpower involved would be horrendous. Or you can do what they're currently doing, which we've been calling for a while, is go, well, everyone's got the superannuation funds. We know where they are. We know the records of them. We can see them. Why don't we just pass legislation that says, look, you guys can't really be trusted with your super funds. The vagaries of investing and things like that. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take your superannuation funds as a government and we'll use them for Australia building, nation building assignments or investments. We'll build roads, we'll build hospitals, all those good things, and we'll guarantee you to provide you a pension in your old age that you've funded. That is far more likely the path that we will go down, because it is far simpler and far easier to sell to a population.
There's
I feel like I've been on my soapbox all afternoon.
Well, I'm wondering if I can continue that or not. But I guess what do you think about restriction as opposed to confiscation? So
what do you mean?
Making it either harder or
We're doing that every flaming day. Have you seen what we've got to comply with these days?
Well, I guess
PayPal.
that's it, because that is potentially a something that I would say would be easier to change than it would be to go door to door, kind of making everyone hand everything in.
Yeah, look, they'd have to have a hell of a good reason to make it illegal to buy gold. Having said that, the American government did do that, and the legislation was passed in Australia but never enacted. Look, the history's there that it's got potential. As I said, they are making it harder and harder. I don't know, you guys would probably know better than me about how often I come in complaining about what the next requirement that we've got to comply with is, but every few months they seem to change the goalposts and make things harder and harder and harder. But certainly on a business that's easy. It would be very difficult to stop citizens, like the private citizens of the country, trading in your likes of gold and silver.
Mm.
I would also think that if you, let's say, again, now I'm the grand poobah of the government, I think the path of far less resistance would be to offer an amount significantly above spot for citizens to sell their gold to me. And I would say, all right, well, spot's $3,000 an ounce now. I'll pay $3,500 an ounce. Everyone report to your local council office and give in your gold. And then you find that in 6 months' time, you wouldn't read about it. Gold's $6,000 an ounce.
But it was over spot when I saw it. Yeah, no.
Exactly.
That's certainly an alternative, a la, effectively a gun buyback type scheme.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, do it in a way that's people feel like
Palatable.
you feel like you're being taken care of, and then
I think emphasis on the word feel. There.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even if you're not actually.
exactly.
Well, it's back to the old lobster in the pot of water.
Mhm.
You're just gradually increasing the heat until it's all too late and it's over.
Yep.
We got Simbunji in chat.
Hey. Sim, welcome back.
Says, I just wanted to express my thanks to the BN team for your videos after the Four Corners TV story. You gave perspective, everyone else gave opinion only.
Yeah, that was good. I was a viewer of that. That was good.
Oh dear, that was. I tell you what, there was a few takes on some of those videos because I was getting right on my high.
I can't imagine that.
To say I was angry at the hatchet job that they did is a massive understatement. Like that's just not on.
Let's not get him started again.
Yeah. What else you got on the list there, Ruben?
Let's move on.
There's some comments about wedge tails going on there. One, if we've got any more of the new ones for this year, but there was also a question going around if we happen to have a 2017 wedge tail.
Crikey.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
I'm asking the questions. I haven't seen one, but
The short answer is no. I haven't seen a 17.
Yeah,
No.
Remember the last 17 I saw?
2017.
Yeah,
Probably 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
So many good questions in this, and I haven't even got my glasses on.
it'd probably help to.
Do you think the GSR will ever come back down? Yeah, it will. It goes in cycles. It always has. It always will. Yeah. What else have we got, Rubes? Because I'm about to get on my high horse again.
Oh, no, he's off. I thought it would be a good idea to talk through some of the things we've got coming up.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you want to start, but I think over the weekend the plan is to drop a video with some fractional silver.
Or get out of town.
We've got drum
Whatever will it be?
There we go.
Oh, he's got a picture of it.
I'm going to spoil
Yeah?
it for everyone. So hopefully, well, I'm not going to set us to a particular time because I haven't
Wow.
actually finished off the video yet. But hopefully, before next week, we will have some 1/10 guineas.
Did it actually appear on screen?
Yeah.
You're looking at it.
You're looking
Oh,
at it.
now
You're
I
on
can.
even more of a delay.
Oh, I must have. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, this is
You
what
gotta
happens
hit
when I
the
get on my high horse.
live
I
button.
need to catch up.
Yeah.
There's a live button? Oh, yeah, there it is.
So yeah, good to get some of those in again. We have had them through before, but yeah, always good to get some fractional silver in again. So we'll have two types now because I think we've still got some Libertads hanging around
We
as well.
have, thankfully.
Oh.
For a while there, I thought they were going to go too quickly because then I would have had egg on my face because I said, we'll buy these because they're such high premium, no one will ever buy them. And then they just started
Yeah.
going like this. I'm like, oh, bother. Just shot myself in the foot with that. Somebody's going to start saying American Eagles soon.
Hey.
So yeah, they're a great look. The fractionals, and we talk about it in the video. Fractionals are fantastic. They are literally like this big, so don't get too excited about them. They are beautiful, but they are fractional. And the same as we say with everything, the smaller you go, or in this case, the smaller you go with something, the higher the premium on it. So you're not going to pick them up at buyback ounce price. They are far more expensive than that.
Yeah, but they're a ripping looking coin. Spade Guinea, that's a great coin. I'm very happy with that.
Give us some history. You know much history about the guinea?
Yeah, the value attributed to them was 21 shillings, which was interesting. I think it was 21 or 23, but that was like a predecessor to the sovereign, the pound.
Yep.
The spade obviously gets that name because of the shape. It looks like a little spade. I thought that there might be a bit more of a deeper, what's the word, like a clever meaning to it, but it is quite literally, it looks like a shovel. So yeah, that's how you get the spade guinea.
Do you know what the coat of arms, the crest is?
Yeah, it'll be some sort of royal family jazz. You're getting over my head now.
We looked it up, didn't we, Rubes? Did we ever find an answer to it? 'Cause I can't remember. No, we didn't. Okay.
All the shovels of yesteryear.
I am going to have to get...
There's the BN series shovels of yesteryear.
I am going to have to get back to some of the questions about how many in a box and how many in a tube, but the box itself, I'm going to be honest, isn't that exciting because it's a cardboard box.
It's a cardboard
Oh,
box.
wow.
We've ripped through it. And
Well,
then
like,
Ruben
there'll be a
goes,
monster box.
hang on,
oh,
that's
no.
a monster box. Oh, crap.
That was it.
So yeah, well, I'll get back to you with some numbers specifically on those, but yeah, don't expect too much out of the monster box of them because there is a monster box of them that houses multiple tubes, but it's just a cardboard box.
I think isn't there 5,000 in a monster box?
So it's 50 in a tube, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 50
I
in
think
a
it is
tube,
50. I
5,000 in a box.
Yeah, that does sound right. I just wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, now the other one that I'm just going to make a signal to Michael to double check we can actually talk about it because I checked up and I actually can't show any of the photos on this one. But
I know nothing about the wombat you're talking about.
Okay, all right. Well, there we go.
Ooh.
Well, I think it is up on Perth's coming soon as the fact that the wombat is coming. So I think we can talk about that.
Yeah.
We can't talk about design or anything yet.
Can we talk about the fact that we have the exclusive?
We have an exclusive.
We have the exclusive on the wombat.
Wow.
There you go.
You're allowed to say that? Well, you've done it.
He's done it now.
I didn't say we had it. I was just asking if we were allowed to ask that question.
He's getting into the
Yeah,
technicalities
it's all
now. Look out.
hypothetical.
Look out.
Oh, that'd be good. That could be good, in fact.
The other one that we've got coming through that we're still waiting on that some people knew about, but there was actually some people asking that clearly didn't know we were going to get them, is the next in the Alien series. So these are the 2022s, but we
Yeah,
had
that's
the
ominous.
2021s in last time, so this is a new coin for us.
Ironically, they got stuck at the border.
Oh, no.
Been sitting there for weeks.
So we're still waiting to hear about those, but they are inbound. So
Yes, they are. We've also got, and I don't know if I should admit to this. I'm trying to read your list upside down in case I'd said it before, but
I don't know.
believe it or not, we've actually got some, and please don't phone about these or email about them, but we've actually got some Eagles coming in. I relented and went,
Really?
yeah, the price has dropped a little bit on the premium. They're
Yeah.
still flaming expensive, but the price has dropped a little bit on them. So we brought in, not a bucket load, just a few, just to tickle the fancy of some people that have been
Wow.
asking for them. So
These are which year?
I believe they're 2023s, but
Oh,
now you've got me
alright.
questioning
Well, I don't
what
know. What
ordered.
were the Libertads? You had a mixed bag.
I'm getting the okay. It was a 2023, so
Yeah,
we're
very
good
good.
on that.
It's yeah, I think it will be one of those coins that because we haven't seen them for so long, there'll be a lot of people, as we were saying before, particularly new people coming into Bullion that'll go, hey, I've heard plenty about Eagles on YouTube, other places on the internet, things like that.
Yeah.
yeah, heard they were the best value for money, lowest premium.
And they are. Well, actually, I used to say they are in the States, but they're not even in the
No,
States
not in the
anymore.
But you know, there'll be a lot of people that'll even just want to pick up one or two. So I think I think it's good that we'll be getting them in even just in a small scale.
Yeah. I want to look at that Simon Bickerton one there. Finally have a good question. If the BRICS currency is backed by gold, could the US undermine it by manipulating the price of gold by using the COMEX or the LBMA price of gold down, reducing? Yeah, look, I mean, after the last, being a Victorian, after the last 3 odd years, I don't think I'll ever utter the words a government could never do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think theoretically it's possible. No, I don't think they do it, but I think it's theoretically possible. I think there's other tools available to them that they wouldn't have to do it that way. They could manipulate the market in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. There was some talk. There was a lot of talk about the monster boxes. So it looks like a lot of people chasing not just fractional silver, but actually fractional silver in bulk. So we
Okay. Well, I mean, look, if they go quickly, we'll bring in more.
Yeah.
If people want them by monster boxes, we can certainly get them that way. But from a dealer's perspective, not only as a retail, like as a normal, private citizen, you go, wow, look at the premium on that. When you're having to buy them in bulk, you go, wow, look at the premium on that. So we did bring in quite a number, but if people are wanting multiple monster boxes or anything, we're going to have a conversation.
Now there's a question here I'm going to hesitantly ask, and there was a lot of people on our Britannia video that we recently got through of the King Charles ones wanting to know if we were getting gold ones through. What is the likelihood of some gold Brits?
Do you stretches?
I think we currently don't. Do we currently? Don't we? I'm looking for some indication from the gallery around here. Do we not have gold Britannias in stock at the moment?
I don't think so.
No, at least not of the King Charles ones. I don't think.
Okay, I believe we do have some.
There you go.
If we don't have them, we have some arriving very
They're
soon.
they're not up on the web. I'll put it that way.
Okay, so look, within the next week, you should see them on the web.
There you go. And yeah, they're likely to be King Charles ones, or
As
Her
far as I'm
Majesty.
aware, they're King Charles. They're not Queen Lizzie's.
There you go.
Very good.
Have we talked about the LBMA launching an investigation at the Perth Mint? You can say no. The question was, have we talked about it? You can just
Yes,
say
we
no.
have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have talked about it.
Specifically the LBMA portion of it, though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look, when you have that much of a media dust-up, if you are a registered organisation, you would be remiss to not say, we'll have a look at this. I mean, at the end of the day, we conducted an investigation, and we're just a retailer. Like, you're going to go, if you're smart, you are going to say, there is smoke over there. Let's go and see what the cause of it is. I would be very disappointed if the LBMA did not have a look at it, That doesn't mean there's anything there. It just means they're saying, you're a teacher in a schoolyard, there's a ruckus in the corner. It doesn't mean anything's going on. They might be just going, yay, but you need to go over there and make sure that one kid's not killing another. That's all it is.
That's a good analogy. That's well put. I like that. Yeah. Here's one out of the blue. Do you think that we are likely? This is a very spicy question.
No.
All right, let me rephrase it. Would you be surprised, Michael, if any Australian banks were to fail in the coming 12-month period? If something were to happen, would you be utterly shocked or
no? I would not be utterly shocked.
Yep.
I would certainly be. I would raise an eyebrow and be surprised. If it was one of the majors, I would be shocked.
Yep.
But if it was a small regional, type of situation, or one of the much smaller banks,
yep.
I would not be. I would not be hugely shocked. Slightly, mildly surprised, but not hugely shocked. You and I are both in unique situations where we're watching the amount of currency that is coming through a bullion store.
Yeah.
You multiply that out by the bullion stores around Australia.
Yeah.
And then start looking at the amount of money that is being currently pulled out of various banks in various forms.
Yep.
And I can tell you, we're not talking. It's not. It's not Michael wandering down to the bank, hitting the ATM up for $2,000. We're not talking. We're talking. There's lots of zeros in some of these numbers that people are pulling out of the banking system. It would not shock me even slightly to see a smaller bank get themselves into a little bit of hot water.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think there's going to be a lot of people kind of, even just in Australia and other countries around the world, pushing some of those boundaries and seeing what is possible. That, even if they don't actually go through with some of it, they're going to be walking in and saying, well, can I get this all out in cash? There's going to be, I think, a lot more of that going on. And if the banks react, a little unsure, they're going to feed on that.
Or say, no, you can't have any more than $2,000 out without...
Well, there is that. And so, I think there's going to be a few things like that start to get the population worried over here, even if
I'm going to drag you back, Rubes. That reaction you had of, you didn't do it impolitely, I'm not trying to say that, but you kind of blew me off and said, oh yeah, there is that. But that is, you think over the last 12 months, the number of people that we've had into the store that are saying, oh, can't believe my bank. They said I can't take any more than $2,000 out, and they wanted to know what it was for and what I was doing with it, and all these types of things. And those conversations.
That's when the bank's not worried. If the bank is actually actually worried about some of this kind of stuff.
But these conversations are happening more and more, and it's interesting. The more family barbecues I go to, the more people that are not interested in this type of thing that will say, you'll never believe what happened. I went into the bank, and all of a sudden it's these conversations of, well, do we... Ultimately, it usually ends up with do we trust the banking system? And more, these conversations are happening far more frequently in far more broader circles now than I've ever seen it before in history. So I would say that is indicating something. It's not like that is the problem. It's because the banks are reacting that way. And it's funny you were saying that, and I was relating it back to here where see people come in and go, oh, I want to withdraw everything out of my unallocated account. And we'll go, okay, sure. And they'll go, what do you mean? And we'll say, well, what do you want? Like, do you want it in cash? Do you want it in bars? Oh, so it's just like that simple. Well,
yes.
Yeah. That's why we back it physically, so we can just do it this way. Oh, don't worry about it. And off they go. They're quite happy. And if the banks reacted that way, I think you would find there would be less concern in the industry in relation to them.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but at the end of the day, it's fairly obvious because we sell that at spot price. We actually make our money on that sale when that happens. If someone wants to convert it into a product, they're essentially then buying that product from us. Yes, the spot price is locked aside, but then in that conversion, they're paying the premium. And so that's it. As a business, it's like, yep, sure, we'll handle that for you.
Yeah. It cracks me up, and I hate going back to this painful part of our life where Reddit decided to have a go at us.
Yeah.
and they were going, let's bankrupt Bullion Now. Let's buy all their stuff. And I'm thinking, well, that's not going to work because that's how we make profit. And let's go and claim all our unallocated back. And I'm thinking, well, that doesn't work either because that's actually the point where we make our profit. So I'm struggling to see your point here. But yeah, that's it. People it was a very painful part of our past. Ruben's glaring at me from behind the microphone. How dare you bring that up again?
Just surprised, that's all. Kane wants to ask you a question, Matt. Do you set up the hall for the Perth Coin Show? He's offering his time to help you set up there.
Oh, very kind of you, Kane. I do indeed set up all the halls all over the country for the coin shows. Are you sick
of it yet, or are you just still enjoying the setting up particularly?
It was good fun until the Melbourne event. Did I already?
Yeah,
I got on my soapbox. I had to cry. Yeah, no one helped me. I had to do it myself. It was rough.
The joys of fatherhood, mate. You've got no sympathy from
Pretty
us.
much, yeah. But well, come along anyway, Kane. I'll catch up with you there. We'll have a yak. It'll be good.
Aussie Kelpie, it was not as painful as the Great Ox Crash because that was our fault, and that one was really painful.
Yeah, I think I still get like a little twinge or a little shudder whenever I hear the words
the 5 ounce,
the 5 ounce ox. I love the coin. I've got the coin. I love the coin, but my goodness,
I don't have the coin. I'm never getting it. It's a black spot in my collecting history. I'm not going near it ever again.
Oh dear. I think we need to start winding it up.
One thing I did want to touch on was availability of stock because that has been a very common question the last week or so. Actually, it's a common question overall.
In general,
really,
yeah.
We've had no issues with getting stock, and even with the increased demand, we are meeting it. However, and there's always a however on these statements, I am noticing, and Adam, who looks after our stock control side, Adam and I were conversing this morning, and we are starting to see some of the wholesalers' lists get holes in them with not available until a date down the path a bit. So I suspect that in 2 to 3 weeks, you and I are going to be having different conversations in relation to this. I'm not going to say that there's going to be a shortage of metal, but there will certainly, I'm calling that there will be a shortage of
variety.
Variety brands. You know, if you say I want X brand in this size, it may be a case of, well, we can get it for you, but it's a 3-month wait. We can provide you with that type of gold in that side or silver or whatever it is, whatever metal. We'll be able to supply you with that, but it may not be that brand, or it may be that brand or a different size. So I suspect that's where we're heading.
Which, to be honest, I was actually looking forward to kind of coming back a little bit from with, some of the insanity dropping off. It was okay, well, yes, okay, spot might be going down and things like that. But yeah, that means, cheaper gold and silver, potentially lower premiums, and to get some of that variety in, Levitats, Eagles, stuff like that might have actually started to flow through again. But with all this that's come out recently, I can see it getting, busy again. And as we spoke about before, some of the with even just how busy we've been, I can't see it. I can't see me getting that just as soon as I'd wanted. But
a man of the meeple. Sorry, Rubes, I know I'm hijacking you a little bit, mate.
Yeah, right.
Man of the meeple. Wholesalers holding back stock to help drive up premiums. No, is the short answer on that one. Because if a wholesaler even attempted to do that, we'd just go to another wholesaler. It's no big deal. There are rare occasions where this can occur, though, a la US Eagles, because the US Mint will only deal with, and I can't remember now, but it's like 4 or 5. I'm getting indications in the background that there's 6. They will only deal with 6 organisations. So you are based, there's an oligopoly there, and you are tied in to only dealing with one of those 6. So that situation they can actually manipulate, but I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying they could. But yeah, with the rest of the stuff, I doubt anyone could corner the Perth Mint 10-gram minted bar market.
Yeah,
I think that would be a physical impossibility. I know, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, you could give it a crack, but Maybe next live stream, let us know how you've gone with that.
Yeah, right. I did notice after, not our last order, but the order prior to that with the Perth Mint, we ordered a whole stack of 1 gram bars because I was sick of running out of 1 gram bars. And because they're incredibly popular. And I
Yeah.
was sick of it. So I ordered, like, when I said a lot, I ordered a lot. And I noticed that the next wholesale list that came out, they limited everyone. Pretty much ever since. It's a maximum of X number. You're not having any more.
Peter Gracemeat Guide wants to know if they buy a 1,000-ounce bar, could we source its conversion to granules at a fair rate?
Yeah, absolutely we could. But if you're, I mean, 1,000-ounce bar we can probably find. But if you
That'd
want
be a nice tub of granules. So just thinking about it.
30-something kilos of
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd want to run your hands through that. And
the 80 bars have I don't know if any of them still either exist in. Oh, no, I think we might have a couple
I
left.
think there was a couple.
Yeah, but we are certainly running out of them. All right, Rubes, you can wrap us up if that's what you want to do.
You're gonna fine then, Ruben. We'll
Fun
give
police
it.
is here.
Yeah, let's not make that my. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm
Dear.
sick of scratching my nose on camera. I
Yeah.
got to get off camera and scratch it properly.
Oh, good. All right. Well, we will leave it there then. We, as far as I know, we'll be streaming next Friday.
Absolutely, we will.
And we have a special lined up that we will hopefully be able to get organised in
Oh,
time
yeah,
for
that'd be good.
Friday. So,
We will
keep an
do.
eye on that, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you very much.
See you later.
See ya.